From architecture to painting and sculpture, literature to live music and theater, Radio 111 presents The Desert Scene, your connection to culture and entertainment in the desert cities. Here's Bonnie G.
And welcome to The Desert Scene. I'm your host, Bonnie G, here with my producer, Brian Mendoza. And we're very happy to welcome back to the show Mr. Jeff Barnett, who has a lot of stuff coming up. He's coming back to Razzle Dazzle for May. He's also got the Movie Magic Show at the Cultural Center and some other stuff. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Bonnie. How are you, honey?
I'm good. I'm good. So,
back.
Lots of stuff to talk about. But first, let's talk about Razzle Dazzle in May. So Jeff is coming back as special guest host. So tell people about our May Razzle Dazzle coming up.
Oh, we have some really fun stuff. First of all, congratulations on your two this month. Obviously, you've had great feedback, and it's so nice to see so much of the community. People in the business out here come out and just really love it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we were this last show we did last week. We were packed, sold out. There was not an empty seat. We were sold out totally. And they really enjoyed it. And I'm glad because I was still dealing with some vocal issues from allergy stuff and respiratory stuff. And Randy Brunner was in the show also. We were both battling some of that. But we pulled it off. So thank you. It was great.
It is allergy season. And those of us who have to sing know it. But you find a way to get through it, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, with our May shows, I love the fact that we're bringing in Shelby Victoria, one of our up and comers. I'm just sort of I keep looking around and seeing all this beautiful talent that we have out here, and it's especially with some of these younger. I don't call them kids because I'm old, but. To give them a platform. I know how important it was for me, at that age, and trying to get your foot in the door, and once people see how good you are, it's like, wow, okay, you're not going anywhere,
Absolutely.
I'm going to put them in everything.
Yeah.
And we have fun material that reflects that, because Shelby just came off of doing a chorus line with Rancho Mirage. We're doing some chorus line, and you and I had done chorus line stuff anyway. So we're going to bring some of our chorus line back. We're going to celebrate the month of May with these two by kicking it off with some Camelot.
Camelot, yes.
Yes, yeah. And maybe a little Godspell. What do you say?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's just so much fun. If you haven't come out to the first of all, some people I think fewer and fewer these days, but some people I think still are not aware that. Excuse me for coughing
here. Isn't that
here.
funny? I have found that. I know. I've had people who have lived here for years, and then you tell them about it, they don't realize.
They're like,
that
where is it? Yeah, it's
a lot of things happening up there.
It's the old
with the Razzle Dazzle, with the Movie Magic Show, with Leanne Rogers and her jazz collective. Yeah. There's a lot of really an international music.
Yeah,
it's really kind of exciting.
It's the old Camelot.
I love the fact.
When you tell people it's the old Camelot building, then they say, "Oh, okay," they know where that is. But yeah, it's really. Michael Green has done such a great job of really making it a true cultural center. They still have some films they show downstairs. Yes. There's theater downstairs. There's live plays, which I've been in some. You have. We've gone to see stuff. And then music upstairs. And sometimes they even have art exhibits. So he's really made into a true cultural center, which is fabulous. So tell us also about Movie Magic coming up again on May 12th.
Coming up again. We had Lizzie Schmeling with us last time, but this time we're changing it up. Heather Joy is returning, who I love working with, and she's just a kick in the pants.
Yes.
I love Heather. Because she did a Razzle Dazzle with us.
She did, and she was wonderful. And, yes.
Yeah, and I've changed a few things out. I've added some things. We have like a nod to Burt Bacharach. Burt Bacharach's been on our minds, and then we lost him. And and there's a lot of movie music to celebrate with him. And,
absolutely.
And this show is all everything from the movies, and some classics you'll recognize, some interesting things. We even have James Bond off, I call it, the Bond off, and
yes,
we sort of challenge each other with James Bond songs.
Yeah, there was so many
Yeah.
great James Bond theme songs. Absolutely, yeah,
absolutely. And just to hear Charles Herrera sing "Diamonds Are Forever" is worth it.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And now tell us, I'm not familiar with Catherine Lynch Meyering. Is it Meyering? Am I pronouncing that correctly?
She's an old friend. Yeah, she's an old friend of Charles. Big in theater, big voice. She's just got a set of pipes on her that just won't quit.
Yeah.
And she was out in L.A., but Charles asked. He said, "Can I guest her in?" And I said, "Absolutely."
Yeah.
It's like they haven't been able to work together in a long time.
That's great.
So yeah, we're bringing in Catherine to mix things up too. So it's like with Razzle Dazzle, there's some familiar stuff, but then there's always new stuff.
Yes.
Going in.
And you have the fabulous Chip Prince on piano. Love him.
The fabulous Chip Prince.
Yeah.
And speaking of Chip, another thing they have coming up, Charles and Herrera. We've written a show called Duet. Feels Like Home. We're bringing it up to Feinstein's at the Nico in San Francisco, which is a big deal.
That's great.
It's the major nightclub in San Francisco, and with Chip Prince, he's coming up with us. Let's have bass and drums that we're hiring up there, and really excited about that one. There's not much Broadway in it. I got to tell you, there's a lot more pop and jazz and some standards. So it's a very different show. Yeah, and not so theatrical, more musical, if you will. But we're planning on bringing it down here this fall.
I hope so. Yes, that would be great. Absolutely. And of course, Charles is wonderful. So how did you? Because there's so much great music out there, and you two both have a huge musical library in your head. How did you sit down and narrow it down and choose songs for that show?
Well, you know what? It organically is the only way I can put it. We know what we like to sing. We know what we see when we sing together. We're very different singers, and he can do opera if he wants to. That's not me. Yeah. But I can do more rock and blues, and that's not really him. Yeah. We meet in the middle. And but we have a lot of shared songs. I mean, we love everybody from, say, Linda Ronstadt to, and actually there's some Burt Bacharach going in because it's Burt Bacharach time. But yeah, we have a lot of shared musical interests, and it really informs what we pick and what we want to sing together and solo. Yeah, wise too, and there's a little bit of sentiment in the show because I went professional in Les Miserables in San Francisco in a different millennium. Yeah, and the funny thing is, Charles lived in the city at the same time and saw that show and saw me. We didn't know each other.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
I know. So it does feel like home, and I love the fact that this man Randy Teradash. Back in the 80s, I was up in the East Bay, and I was starring in every other show. And he was a teenager wanting to get into theater. And lo and behold, all these years later, he's now booking Feinstein's.
Oh, how cool is that? Yeah.
I know. And he got in touch and said, hey, you want to come up and do a show? And I went, yeah, it's Feinstein's. I think so. And but then I was talking about it with Charles, and I said, why don't you come up with me, and let's create a show.
That's great.
Because I frankly love solo stuff. We're all performers and that sort of thing. But I really maybe even more so, love working with other people. Yeah, I think fun. Maybe it's the Carol Barnett and me or something.
Absolutely. Yes. Bringing folks, and it's just the collaboration. Yeah, I just I know there's folks that I think Charles has done this too. That sing by yourself to tracks for 3 hours. I think that's really tough because you're all alone. I mean, you're relating to the audience, but there's nobody there up there in the spotlight with you to bounce stuff off of, and I think that's challenging. Right. Yeah.
And I mean, that's really a lot of the joys that we get with Razzle Dazzle. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We certainly do. And I love the fact also that we're not singing to tracks. I'm not a big fan of it.
I'm not either, unless you have to. Yeah.
Unless you have to, right? In some cases, you may be showing up at a benefit or something and doing the song, and
right?
That's your only option, But there's no. I miss the creation of music, and when you're doing that with somebody like with the caliber of Chip Prince, you really get to make some music.
Yes,
and there's a difference. You're not just hearing a song to a track.
Right. It's not just to hear yourself. Yeah, it's self-gratification. I have to ask you a question, and I hope you don't mind me asking this, because I'm in the same situation. I am, in a long-term partnership with a performer. I mean, Eric, he sings a little, but singing's not his main thing. His main thing is he's a musician. But, which is great, and it's in some ways it's great. But every now and then you get some ego clashes, and some competitive. Have you guys worked through that?
I don't know. We're both so different, and we don't find ourselves competing.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's great.
It's like we don't really bump heads on things like that, And also, I think it's also when you're collaborating, it's important to be receptive, and be open to. It's like, don't box yourself in. This is a live animal, and let it happen.
Let it breathe. Yes. Yeah.
Let the flow. Let it go with the flow.
Yeah.
That's really kind of vital.
Yeah.
Because if you're butting heads, you're not collaborating.
So what I have to ask you, I don't think I've asked you this before. I know that you've done a lot of performing in the past. Is there, if someone said to you, what so far has sort of been your biggest career highlight, what would you say?
Well, that was actually Les Miserables. I mean, that's what launched my career professionally. And also, it was such a huge success in San Francisco. You need to understand this. We were in our tech week. They're called 10 out of 12s, right? And that means it's a 12-hour period. You're working 10 hours of it. They're long, grueling days. It's mostly technical. It's getting the show up on its feet. That's when the San Francisco earthquake happened.
Wow.
And not the original one, not the 1906.
Right. Not quite that old, yeah.
Like the 1989. It wasn't that long ago. And it shut the whole city down. For a couple of days. And so when San Francisco was sort of like shaking off the dust and going, okay, what now? We were kind of the first. We were already a big deal going in, but we were really kind of the first thing that brought San Francisco back to life.
Yeah.
People just
went crazy. Yeah.
We were on the front page of the newspapers, and I mean, it was a big deal, and it was a heady time. And the funny thing is, that company was originally the L.A. company, and some people came up, but they only ran for 13 months in L.A. We ran for 15 in San Francisco.
Wow!
And that goes to show you how much the city just loved it and embraced it, and it was a real jewel in the crown of San Francisco.
Yeah. During
its time. And that was really, really heady stuff, and a great time, and of course, an amazing show.
Yeah. Well, gosh, Les Mis, that's now.
Yeah.
So
when we were doing it, also it wasn't lost that Tiananmen Square was happening in China.
Wow.
And here's these students with a big red flag, and it's like.
So it resonated, with what was happening in the world. Yeah. So I have to ask you, I'd love to ask, because I have a lot of performers on the show, when you go to see someone else, let's say do a solo cabaret show or duet thing or whatever, what are you hoping to see and hear when you go to something like that?
A song I'm going to steal. No.
Well, sometimes that happens, yeah.
It doesn't. Hey, and nobody owns a song.
Right, exactly.
Unless you wrote it, but even then, it's like, you put a song out there, it's for the world. What I'd like to see in a performer, though, is connection.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who's going to reach out and move you, make you laugh, that sort of thing, and also introduce you to some things you didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like learning things. I like getting smarter.
Yeah.
You know, and that's really. I mean, there's so many different stripes of performers.
Yeah.
You know, but you know when somebody's bringing it to the table,
mm-hmm.
and it's not only just appreciated, it's embraced, and I just. That's always thrilling when you walk out and you're still talking about it the next day.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, yeah. Well, I think it's the same thing I tell my voiceover students that I work with. Make your listener feel something. That's the goal, right? Make them feel something. You know. Because you want to touch their emotions. If they're not feeling anything, there's something you're holding back. Well, Jeff Barnett, I'm so excited to be working with you again, Razzle Dazzle in May, and then Movie Magic's coming up May 12th. I'm going to come see that. And congrats on your show with Charles Feinstein's. That's super. Always fun to have you on. Always fun. Thank you.
Thank you for always having me, Bonnie. Really appreciate it, and I'll be seeing you next week.
Okay, sounds good. All right, Jeff Barnett. And we will see the rest of you on the next Desert Scene.